Hey kiddos, it is Mrs. Moran here with your language arts lesson for today. This week we are working on top-down topic webs all week, but we're going to be featuring different main characters from different stories. And for today's story, we have Otis and the Kittens. This is my son's, or one of his favorite books. It's super, super good. So let's go ahead and get started. It was hot and dry on the farm when the friendly little tractor named Otis lived. Otis couldn't remember the last time it had rained. Farmers all over the valley grew more anxious by the day. Water was in short supply, the ground was hard, and the corn stalks were half as tall as they should have been. Otis spent his afternoons out in the sweltering fields with the farm hands baling straw. So here's Otis, and here are the farm hands, and they're baling the straw. You can see this machine. It takes all of the hay, and it makes it into these squares right here, or the rectangles. Once the load was full, with a puff and a chuff, Otis would pull the wagon into the old barn down by the bend at Mud Creek. The farm hands would use a pulley to lift each bale up into the loft, where it'd be stored for the long winter to come. When the sun had gone over the hill and work was done, Otis was ready to sit in the shade and rest, but not Otis's friend, the bull. So here's Otis. He has the load of hay, and they're lifting it up with the pulley into the loft for the winter. The bull liked to stand in front of Otis and snort and snarl and huff hot air. 2 snorts, a snarl, and a huff. All the animals knew what that meant. The bull was challenging Otis to tug-of-war. His friends were always eager to play, even after a long day of work. One duck wound the end of the rope around the bull's horns. Another duck looped the other end around Otis's steering wheel. The animals then took sides, grabbing on any way they could. Everyone pulled and tugged with all of their might. Eventually, Otis would ease up a little. He didn't care much about winning. He just liked having fun with his friends. That looks like a fun game of tug-of-war. One afternoon, when everyone was up under the shade of the apple tree, Otis spotted something moving down in the field. It looked to be an orange tabby cat. Where did she come from? Otis wondered. He watched as she ran toward the old barn, and there he saw something that caused the engine to sputter. A swirl of smoke! What do you think it is, guys? Do you see the smoke down there? Otis raced to the barn with the animals following behind. They discovered flames from the loft inside the old barn. A fire! The barn was filled with brittle, dry straw, and Otis knew it wouldn't take long for it to all burst into flames. Just then, the tabby cat appeared in the barn window. With a putt, puff, puttity chuff, Otis rushed into the burning barn. So here they see it on fire, and you can see the tabby cat right there in the window. Now he's racing to the fire. Inside, the flames were growing and smoke was forming a dark cloud. The cat was pacing back and forth high above on a rafter. Otis chuffed for her to jump down, but the cat wouldn't budge. Instead, she stared down at Otis and belted out the loudest meow Otis had ever heard. What was she trying to tell him? What do you guys think this cat is trying to tell Otis? And why would the cat run into the barn with a fire? Suddenly, Otis heard a tiny meow from the hayloft. Meow. And then another tiny meow. Meow. And another meow, meow, meow. At once, 5 furry little heads popped up and stared down at him. Kittens! As flames blazed overhead, Otis stood on hind wheels and stretched to the edge of the loft. To a chorus of tiny meows, one by one, the kittens hopped down. The farm animals cheered as Otis emerged from the burning barn with kittens all over him. Look at how cute those little kitties are. Kind of makes me want a kitten. But as soon as Mama Cat counted their little heads, she meowed frantically back at the barn. This time Otis had no doubt what she was saying. How many more were still in there? He wondered. By then, the top of the barn was engulfed in flames, sending large plumes of smoke into the sky. Otis was afraid, but he gunned his engine, screeched his tires, and dashed back into the burning fire. Inside, the heat was growing worse, and it was hard to breathe. Otis revved his engine, and one last little head popped up. Trembling with fear, Otis puffed a gentle chuff, and the kitten climbed down on top of him, hopped to his seat, leapt to the floor, and scampered out of the barn to safety. That's a really bad fire. Outside, the animals cheered when they saw another kitten emerge, and they watched for Otis to follow. Inside, the flames spread by the second. Otis wheeled around to see if any more kittens were left. The old boards of the barn's floor creaked, buckled, and moaned. The walls popped. He couldn't wait another second. Just as Otis spotted the exit and raised his wheels to leave, there was a giant crash. The floor collapsed, and Otis plunged to the darkness below. Outside, the animals held their breath, waiting for their friend to emerge. Inside, Otis couldn't move. He had fallen into the cluttered lower level of the old barn, and he was covered in dust, debris, and broken planks. Stuck in the hole with the fire raging above, Otis could hardly puff a breath. Then he heard the siren of the fire chief Douglas and the fire engine. The farmer pulled up, and Otis heard him rounding up the animals. Help had arrived. He knew he'd be fine until he heard the fire chief holler. You guys see the red in there? That's Otis. He's under all of that wood. Sorry, farmer. The creek's gone dry in the drought, and the water supply too low to save this old barn. As long as everyone's safe, we'll have to let her burn. Underneath the pile of broken boards and dust, Otis couldn't see a thing or move a gasket, and his heart sank deep inside his engine. So they're not going to try and get the fire out because it's such an old building. They're just going to let it burn it down. The animals had grown wild with fear. The farmer counted them one by one. They were all safe and sound. He couldn't figure out why they were acting so crazy. Do you guys know why the animals are acting so crazy? Suddenly, the little calf bolted for the barn door. Her friends followed right behind. Inside the fiery barn, they spotted Otis stuck down in a hole, covered with boards and dust, his engine barely running. How could they ever get him out? The bull looked up at the rafters and down at Otis. He stood in front of the hole in the floor and snorted and snarled and huffed hot air. 2 snorts, a snarl, and a huff. The animals knew just what that meant. The duck grabbed the pulley rope and wound it around the bull's horns. Another duck flew into the hole and hooked it to Otis's steering wheel. The bull snorted and tugged and snarled and pulled, but Otis didn't budge. It's like they're doing the tug-of-war game again, huh? The horse and the cow grabbed the rope behind the bull, and together they snorted and tugged and neighed and mooed and pulled. And Otis teetered ever so slightly. The little calf jumped in and tugged and bawled and pulled, and Otis raised a little bit more. The puppy grabbed the rope behind the little calf, and with a fierce arf, tugged and pulled and growled, and Otis inched upward. And then came a piercing meow and the sound of Fire Chief Douglas shouting, "Holy moly, Otis is in there! Hold on tight, everyone, I'm here to help!" Oops, I keep forgetting to show you the picture. Here it is. They're all working together to help Otis. Fire Chief Douglas grabbed the end of the rope and tugged and pulled and tugged. All together, the animals and the Fire Chief Douglas lifted Otis higher and higher until he was suspended over the hole. The ducks swooped in and pushed him over the edge of the opening to where they could lower him to the floor. Together, everyone pulled the dust and ash-covered tractor out from the burning fire just as parts of the barn began to fall. Then Fire Chief Douglas and his men hosed off Otis and wiped down his frame. The cool water revived Otis, and everyone cheered when they heard a faint put, puff, puttity chuff. It was music to their ears. The kittens jumped up on top of Otis and crawled all over him. Fire Chief Douglas laughed and said, "Farmer, what say we adopt these kittens and their mama? They'd make a mighty fine addition to our firehouse family." Otis puffed a happy chuff. He couldn't think of a better home for his new friends. The end. Isn't that a good story? I really like how they all had to work together to help their friend. All right, guys, now is the time where you need to grab a piece of paper and a pencil so we can get started on our top-down topic web. And remember, at any point you can pause me if you need to stop and write something down, or you can rewind and go back in the story to see what you want to write about, okay? As the week goes on, I'm going to try and help you less and less and less, so eventually you guys can do a top-down topic web about a character all by yourself, because that's what third graders do. We work super hard and we learn from our teachers, so eventually we can do it by ourselves with no help. Okay, so here is your top-down topic web. So right now, I want you to go ahead and pause me and create your rectangle, your 3 ovals, and then your 3 triangles under each of those ovals. So pause me and go ahead and create your top-down topic web. All right, so I said that our top-down topic web is going to be about our main character. Who was the main character in this story? Who was the story all about? It says it right there in the title, right? Otis. Otis is our main character in this story. And you could put Otis, or you could put Otis the tractor. That's up to you. As long as you know who Otis is. Okay? All right. So let's talk about, what could we say about Otis? Let's describe his characteristics. Remember, characteristics are how you would describe a person. So think about how you would describe your mom. Would you say she's loving and beautiful and smart? Those are all the things you would say about her, right? So what are all the things that you would say about Otis? I spelled it wrong. No, character. There we go. Sometimes my fingers go faster. Oh my goodness. Thank you. Okay. Okay. What do you think? How could we describe Otis? Let's think back to the story. And again, you can rewind to go back. Otis he's a hard worker, right? Remember in the beginning of the story, he was lifting all of those bales of hay onto the bed of the tractor, and then they had to load it into the loft in the barn. So I'm going to put Otis is hard working. Remember, these aren't complete sentences. These are just little thoughts that you're trying to organize for a writing piece. How else would you describe Otis? What happened after he did all of his work? He played tug-of-war with his friends, right? So you could say he's playful or friendly or fun. You can pick any of those. Okay, I'm just going to put playful. And lastly, how else would you describe Otis? What happened after he was playing the game? The fire. And he saved all the kittens, right? So you could say he's brave. He's brave, I think. Okay, so that's how we would describe Otis. How his personality traits, really. Now let's describe how he looks, his appearance, because when we describe people, we also like to say, oh, they have dark hair and they're tall and they have freckles and maybe they wear glasses, like that. So, how would you describe Otis? Otis, what does Otis look like? Let's look at this picture. I'll keep him right here. First of all, Otis is a tractor, right? I think that's pretty important to say. Otherwise, we wouldn't know that. And if we were telling our brother about this story and we just said Otis, I bet you they would think that you're talking about a person. So we need to put tractor. And what color is Otis? He's red and white or red and tan? Let's see. Or red and brown, whatever you think that color is. There's tons of words to describe it. Brown, tan, beige. Okay, so I'm gonna put he is red. He's actually kind of shiny red, so I'm gonna be super descriptive and say shiny red. And I'm gonna say tan. Shiny red and tan. Okay, what else? How else does he look? Let's see, let's find a picture of his whole tractor. Here we go. Here's a picture of Otis. What else could we say about him? Oh, he has 3 wheels. We could say it's a tractor with 3 wheels. Or we could say that he has friendly eyes. I think his eyes look pretty friendly. And he has a pretty nice smile. So you could say any of those things that you want. Okay? I'm going to say that he has a friendly eyes and smile. You ever just look at somebody and be like, wow, they just look friendly. And sometimes you can tell in their eyes or their smile, the way that they smile. All right, what else could we talk about Otis? What else could we say about him? His actions. That's one we had from yesterday. Otis's actions. Oh, I can't type today. What was the first thing he did in the story? He was helping the farmers bale the hay, right? Helped farmers with the hay. Okay? Not a complete sentence because this is just a graphic organizer. And you could say that any way that you want. He worked hard with the hay, or he loaded the hay into the barn. However you want to describe that action, that's totally okay. I would actually prefer that you use your own words instead of mine. All right, next, he played tug-of-war with the farm animals. Played tug-of-war the farm animals. There we go. And what did he do last, guys? Yes, this is the best part of the story. Rescued the kittens. Okay. Again, you could change the events. You, instead of saying rescue the kittens, you could say that he got stuck in the fire. Whatever you want, you can make it your own. You don't have to write what I write. Okay? I actually challenge you to write your own and not copy mine, because that's what we're working towards. On Friday, you're doing it all by yourself. All right, guys, here is our top-down topic web about Otis and the story of the kittens. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, and I will see you later. Bye, guys.